Hey everybody, welcome to the Total Immersion podcast that doesn't have a name yet. My name is Brandon. You can call me Babin if you want. Today I've got two guests. I've got Logan.
Hi, I'm Logan.
And then I've got Josiah.
Hello.
So, recently we had a Nintendo Direct, the first one in like 5 or 6 months. And some pretty interesting things were talked about.
Oh yeah, they were.
Like Zelda, for instance. I think we should start there.
Really? We're starting with the big guns,
the
right?
biggest thing.
I would also argue it was one of the weakest things.
It was like was like one of the most exciting things, and yet one of the most disappointing things. Overall, though, I wouldn't say it was that disappointing, but I think the hype made it feel a lot worse.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't figure out what he's talking about, we're talking about Twilight Princess HD.
HD.
More like Twilight Princess SD HD.
SDHD?
We're not quite there. So
we're not quite there.
So when the Wii U's first announced and we see this amazing, Legend of Zelda tech demo, my thoughts is we'd at least get halfway there with the high-definition version of Twilight Princess. But instead, we got the GameCube version of Twilight Princess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. Got it with some up-res textures, I guess.
Which, I mean, is a welcome gesture, but it looks like that's all they did. And probably removed some bloom, or did they add bloom? I'm not sure.
The lighting has not changed a single bit, and that's why it looks so bad, is that they have not... Oh?
Actually, it turns out that they lowered the bloom for the Twilight sections.
Oh,
really?
See, that's welcome. But still.
But yeah, Joe, what you're saying is true. They didn't do anything else to the lighting at all.
And, I remember watching it with you, and we're like, that's not Nintendo polish. Hey, guess what? It's not Nintendo polish because it's not Nintendo doing it.
It's Tantalus, which is famous for such titles as Barnyard.
Guys,
Need I say more?
That's my favorite launch game for the Wii U.
Crazy Farm guys.
Yes!
Now, on a lighter note with Tantalus, is that they did port Mass Effect 3 and Deus Ex Human Revolution, which are very good ports on the Wii U, so they have some credit.
That was this? No, wait.
Was
that
them?
the studio?
Yep.
You're lying. I could have sworn that was another studio.
I could be wrong.
He is totally right.
Oh, God.
That's what I thought, yeah. So they've got some merit.
Oh, no, not Mass Effect 4. You're getting ahead of yourself, Logan.
They've
That
got
hasn't
some
happened
merit,
yet.
but they don't have some merit in other places.
It doesn't even matter because I didn't even play through the games on... You can't play through all the games on the Wii U. You can only play the third one, which is completely ridiculous given the context that is supposed to be had throughout all three of those games. But anyway, it's another discussion.
I mean, overall, the game was ported over using the conversion software they made for, Wind Waker. So it's not like they have much a hand in changing things. The things that get changed are probably going to be Nintendo anyway.
Right.
Yep. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, okay. What about new content for Zelda Wii U? Obviously, it's a remake, so...
We will tell you at a later date.
Yeah, guys, cool. It's got a little bit of textures, but why do I need to buy it again?
Wolf Link Amiibo? Maybe?
I'm hoping that they've cut out some of the garbage.
For the Amiibo.
Are you talking about, the opening tutorial?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to be herding goats several times before I actually start the game.
No
more fishing for cats.
That was my favorite part. Fishing twice. twice, catching 2 fish for the cat. That makes so much sense. Because you have to catch it once, and then it's like, oh, that's nice. And then you're like, well, what do I do with it as it's following me around? And then you're like, well, obviously, the logical thing is to catch another fish. So this way, I have 1 fish for me and 1 fish for the cat.
Well, the thing is about that, I just, like, before Twilight Princess HD was announced, I was doing a playthrough on the GameCube, and I did that fishing segment, and I caught 1 fish, and that was it. That's all I needed to do. And most of the people I've talked to said you have to catch 2 fish, but that was not the case when I played it again.
Wait, for Twilight Princess?
I don't remember 2 fish ever.
No,
I caught 1
I played
fish.
it really recently, and I had to catch 2 fish.
The
Maybe
thing
you're just
is,
bad.
though, before I played it again, I do remember catching 2 fish. And what I remember specifically about that is if you're not standing in the exact correct spot, if you catch a fish, it won't do anything.
What?
Yeah, that's what I recall.
I recall having to, like, catch a fish and then moving to another spot to catch another fish, and then it enacting, like, the mechanism where the cat's like, oh, cool, a fish, and then it runs inside, and then you finally get whatever you need to continue on with the game. I feel like that should
Well-
almost be like an optional thing. Like, they shouldn't have to make you fish, but I think it plays into the story somehow.
Yeah, because Colin makes that fishing rod for you.
Right.
But, you know, that being said, that whole section is largely unnecessary.
Yeah.
They introduce a couple new elements to Twilight Princess, but this is 10 years later and we're all accustomed to it.
I'm also hoping that they've streamlined stuff like finding all the bugs in the Twilight, which is the worst part of that game, to be honest.
It definitely isn't fun.
No, it's not fun. They should reconsider some elements of that game. Even the pose quests aren't that fun, finding all the pose souls.
I never actually managed to complete that. I got 54 out of the 60.
Okay, also, considering all these, like, demands or requests or suggestions of changing the game, you know, that's something I would expect from, like, Nintendo, like, trying to make these games better. But the fact is, it's not Nintendo. It's, you know, like, an outside developer. Like, how much was Nintendo actually involved in the development? They're like, here's the source material. Where they, like, do what you want with it? Where they, like, hey, think outside the box instead of just porting the game. But, I mean, they changed some things to Mass Effect 3. They added some, like, oh, look, Wii U controls. So are there going to be, like, Wii U controls for, like, Twilight
I
Princess?
think it would be natural to port over the changes they made to Wind Waker. I think the motion controls for the aiming,
Right.
the inventory and map selection on the bottom screen was a fantastic addition.
Definitely.
Especially to Wind Waker. And, you know, those are all part of that engine, which can easily be ported over. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's already been implemented.
Right.
The thing I'm curious about is kind of like what you're saying, is how much involvement will Nintendo have? Because in Wind Waker HD, they made 100% of that game.
Right.
That was entirely Nintendo EAD. But alternatively, on the 3DS, you know, Grezzo did Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D, you know, with
Right.
some help from Nintendo, and those games are fantastic.
Right. But those are also much older games. So it was an easy call to say, like, yeah, we should redo the models. Because obviously the models are a ton better on the 3D versions than they are
Night
on
and
the
day.
original. Right. You know, it's not even like a question. Whereas like Twilight Princess, that was the last gen cycle for Nintendo. And obviously they didn't, for both Twilight Princess and for Wind Waker, they didn't touch the models really at all.
I would argue that was 2 generations ago.
We're going to take a break here.
We're going to take a break, guys, right now.
before the break, we're talking about Legend of Zelda.
Right.
Talking about Twilight Princess HD.
Right.
Things that we want to improve. Things we're disappointed with. Talking about the developer. The number one thing I want to ask everybody is about the Amiibo.
You mean Wolf Link?
And the entire Zelda line of Amiibo.
Oh.
They're all compatible, and apparently that also transfers over to Zelda U in some fashion.
Zelda U. What? Zelda U? I thought that game already came out. They said it was coming out in 2015.
Well, I've got bad news for you.
Oh, what's that news?
It was pushed back to 2016, as if we're all surprised.
Oh, wow. When did that happen?
A long time ago.
A year ago?
Long time ago. The Amiibo. What the hell could they possibly add to the game?
Costumes.
That's what I'm thinking is costumes, to be honest.
Man, that's so lame.
That's so lame, but do you want to...
I know what the Wolf Link Amiibo is going to do, by the way.
What is it
going
Hear
to
me
do?
out.
Wait,
You
for
okay?
what game?
Okay.
What game?
For,
Yeah, I wanna
Twilight
hear your
Princess
theory right
HD.
now.
Oh,
I know exactly what it's going to do.
What is it going to do?
You tap the Wolf Link Amiibo on the gamepad, and you transform into Wolf Link. That's all it's going to do.
Oh, man.
God, I'm so excited for these fancy new Amiibo features.
You tap the Link Amiibo in, and then you transform back into Link.
God, that is so immersive. I am so convinced. 100%. God, I would pay $100 for this game twice.
One of my biggest complaints about Twilight Princess HD was having to talk to Midna to transform into Wolf Link. I hated that. So I was hoping they would change it to a one-button press.
Right.
To automatically change. But no, let's just throw an Amiibo in there.
Let's just make it a one-figure press.
God. I don't know what's worse, EA or Amiibo.
I think Amiibo's becoming way too intrusive.
Yeah, when it becomes something that interferes with the gameplay instead of enhancing it, it becomes something we don't want anymore. But we don't know. I feel like Nintendo would have enough sense to say no, that's a stupid use. No, we shouldn't do that. But honestly, I could imagine just different costumes in game for one. I think that'd be a neat thing. Besides the green tunic and the Zorro tunic or whatever, that kind of thing. But what happens if all of a sudden Midna looks like she's a wolf? Just adding different aesthetics in that.
Oh, man.
Or, I don't know. Or everybody's wearing something different. I don't know. Just gets
what if Wolf Link dressed up as Human Link with the tunic and everything, and you were just a wolf running around as Link? Would that be great?
What if you didn't need Amiibo at all?
Don't need Amiibo at all. I'm pretty sure it's not going to add anything of any
value,
significance to either game.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncertain about Zelda U, but Twilight Princess, I don't think they're going to add anything.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully the Wolf Link Amiibo would add things to maybe other games. But even then, it's oh, you just unlock things earlier. Kind of like Super Mario Maker and how there are all these different figures. Oh, you can be Waluigi and Wario and Peach and all this other stuff if you get the right costumes and you unlock them. But if you have the Amiibos, then you just scan the Amiibos and it comes out and it's you don't have to do the requirements, you just get it. There it is.
Well, I feel like in the case of Super Mario Maker, that's more acceptable because Amiibo had been out for almost a year by that point. You're bound to have a couple of them.
Right.
So it only makes sense to at least add in some kind of incentive so you feel like you're getting value out of them.
Right. And it's good to add things like that, to make sure you're getting at least a little bit out of each game. So that makes sense.
If only it was a little more significant, though.
Yeah, I mean, For some games, it's like, oh, that's cool. And then for other games, you're like, wow, this feels a lot more substantial. And you want at least one or two games that like feels like it's worth it to actually have the amiibo.
What if they just made a game that you couldn't play it unless you had the amiibo?
Oh.
If they did that.
Man, it's
if you
almost as
literally
if that
couldn't
already
play?
happened.
Wait, what do you mean, guys? I am so out of the loop. Can you guys please explain to me what you guys are talking about?
Go for it, Joe. You know a little more about than I do.
I'm talking about fucking bullshit. It's called fucking Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
Wait, what is that? I've never heard of that.
It's $60.
Oh, wow. That means it must be a really good game,
It
obviously.
must have a lot of content. It must be really good.
Right.
It comes with 2 amiibo, so like that's a really good deal,
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
Like, it's totally something you would spend $70 on and not regret
I
in
am
any way in the
sold.
least.
I'm going to go pre-order it right now. Here
So,
I
Animal
am.
Crossing Amiibo Festival. Holy shit.
Oh, man. I hope it costs
I can't believe
$1,000.
how much of a money grab this game is.
There it is right
So it's a Mario Party style board game, right?
Oh, cool. That must make
Except-
it really fun.
There's no mini games. There's no mini games in this.
Who needs mini games? Those are boring anyway.
Yeah, like you don't need mini games. You can have a board game without a mini game and have it be fun,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Wow.
Games are fun.
Oh, it's cute too. That makes it even better.
Oh yeah. What if it moved at a glacial pace?
A glacial pace? What does that mean? Does that mean glaciers? That's slow, right?
That's super slow,
Super
right?
slow. Okay.
So what if it moved really slowly and the only kind of interaction that you could possibly have with the game is rolling dice? I mean, rolling dice is pretty fun, but what if you couldn't use any of the buttons on it to roll a die, and instead you had to tap a figure to prove that you still owned an amiibo every single turn that you wanted to roll the dice?
That sounds like.
What did you call Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival again?
Bullshit.
Wait, guys.
That's what it sounds like.
Guys, calm down. It can't be that bad. I'm looking here at GameStop, and the average user rating is a 9. Like,
How many
graphics
users?
are a 10, sound 10, lasting appeal 8, gameplay 8. This looks fantastic. It's got a whole 3 reviews too, and I mean, yeah, like it's got to be great. It's got a 9.
So
9 out
you're
of 10.
Logan, you're familiar with Josh Thomas from the BitBlock, correct?
Yeah,
And how much he loves Animal Crossing?
yeah.
To put this in perspective,
Okay.
he uploaded a video to Facebook called How to Properly Unbox Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
Oh, I bet
he threw it in the garbage. Or how to enjoy it, per se.
So, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. It's a really good game if you want figures of Animal Crossing characters, and you already have the higher quality figures that are less than the game costs.
It sounds okay. To be honest, it sounds like a way to try and sell more amiibo. Like it doesn't
In the
even sound like
game.
we're gonna sell a game. No, we're selling amiibo, but we gotta keep it on the DL. We gotta make it seem like the game is what they're getting. I mean, IGN gave it a 5 out of 10. So and IGA doesn't even count anyway. They're horrible. So it's got to at least be 2.5 points higher. Right?
I would have rated it lower,
Right, yeah.
personally.
Being
I went
generous.
and rated it on Metacritic. I gave it a 30%.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. This is a game and nothing more.
Oh.
It is the bare minimum to be called an interactive experience.
There's another game coming out on Wii U that has a similar effect to me personally.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about Mario Tennis Ultra Stupid.
Oh, but
Oh,
Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Color was fantastic. So obviously Mario Tennis is supposed to be good.
I love Mario Tennis 64. How could this be bad? Tell me. How could this be bad?
How about we give you one court with a couple different, court options. We give you less characters than all the previous releases. We get rid of the single-player mode. And then we just give you Mega Mushrooms. That's the game.
Right, because that's
Mushrooms.
all anybody ever plays anyway. So you just take out the content that hardly anybody ever plays. So, let's say only 50% of the people play the single player. That's not enough to actually warrant a single player mode, is it?
50% of your audience.
Oh, no.
So, in order to have a single player experience, you must own Amiibo. And the way that works is you put an Amiibo on the gamepad, and that gives you an opponent in a single player gauntlet of battles.
Oh, God.
Wait, are you telling me that the only way to play single player is to own a $13 piece of plastic?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Can't play single player with an AI opponent without an Amiibo?
I think you can do a standard exhibition match, but there is no single player challenge. The only way to have a tournament style challenge mode is to own Amiibo.
Okay, all joking aside.
That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, all sarcasm aside, this is really upsetting me.
Yeah, I'm a longtime Mario Tennis fan, but I will never buy this game because it is a disgrace to the quality of Nintendo products.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and buy Devil's Third instead.
Even that's a mistake.
That's a big mistake.
That game looks fucking awful.
Right, but is it like Sonic 06 awful? You play it just because you know it's so bad?
The game is playable. It doesn't look that great, and, it's kind of generic, but it's playable.
Right.
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is playable, and it looks nice, but It's so bare bones. It's almost like it should be a free-to-play title.
Right.
I honestly think it should be released that way. But, the only reason they're doing this is because they have no holiday games at all. So they rushed that game out as fast as they possibly could.
Right.
Yeah, it's a week, November, December for Nintendo this year. How about that?
Yeah, it's almost like a big Zelda game was supposed to be there, or Star Fox or something.
Weird. What happened to that Star Fox game?
Maybe it wasn't ready yet.
Maybe. Oh, no.
So wait, you're saying that Mario Tennis should be free?
I will not pay a cent to play that game.
Okay, so...
Man, I know another game that should be free.
Oh, no.
Called Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
That would have been a great model for that game.
Release it. Oh my God. Okay, can we get real just for a second? Logan's gonna get a little emotional.
Okay.
Logan loves Animal Crossing. Logan he has such a deep attachment to that wonderful, beautiful world in which the biggest problems of their lives are that they lent an item to somebody and they don't have the time to find it, even though the only other things they do are fishing, watering plants, catching bugs. And so you have to go and you have to find someone and you say, hey, this anthropomorphic animal lent you something and he wants it back. And they go, well, I lent it to this other person. And you're like, why would you do that? But you go and find that other person anyway. And then they're like, oh yeah, I have it. Here it is. And then you go bring it back to them. That is the extent of issues that are present in Animal Crossing. That's how joyful this game is. And so with Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, they've taken that cute world that is still very cute, and they've made less problems. So much so that nothing happens.
The worst thing that can happen is the stock market crashes.
Oh no. And so when Logan was watching, when they announced Amiibo Festival, Logan saw HD visuals for Animal Crossing, and he goes, here it is. Animal Crossing Wii U, the game that I've been waiting for, the game that I will drop everything and buy a Wii U for. And then they're like, hey guys, look, we've done something even better. Instead of giving you this fully interactive, tiny, adorable, amazing little town with talking animals that walk on their hind legs, instead, we've decided to give you dice. And breathe the dice in, breathe the dice out. Live the dice. Also buy our figurines. Thank you.
Remember,
that's our game.
Money can buy happiness.
Money can buy happiness.
And money can also buy amiibo, which are a whole lot like happiness.
Yeah, man, I've never had plastic happiness before. Plastic happiness. Not like Nerf guns. I'm going to spend all my money on Nerf guns.
I'm going to go spend my money on Amiibos.
Amiibos. Amiibos.
So, Logan, you're obviously very passionate about Animal Crossing. And, I think, Joe, you were there watching it with me. We both had a similar experience when that first appeared on the screen. We were like, this is Animal Crossing Wii U.
I almost shed a tear of joy.
And then it was dice.
And then it was like this feeling of emptiness and despair.
It was at that point
and
that
distrust.
I was completely done with that Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo, you've betrayed.
It's like
E3, actually.
Reality came crashing in.
Who asked for this? Who decided this was a good idea? Who decided this was like a legitimate replacement other than just like a way to sell and distribute Animal Crossing amiibos? Who decided? Also, I'm going to go on a slight tangent that's going to last 30 seconds. Who asked for Happy Home Designer?
You were so upset about that recently, Logan. You were completely sure that was going to be add-on content for New Leaf.
It would have been a shit ton better as DLC, like an expansion onto that game. If I could be in my New Leaf game and be like, oh, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get a job as a designer and be able to customize your town even more, why would they not capitalize on that? Why would that at least not be like, hey, look, we're selling this expansion for $15. And then on the side, you can also play it as a standalone. And you can just play that. And so you can spend maybe like $30 on that. Otherwise, you're like, well, I'm going to buy New Leaf and that. And so it's such a missed opportunity. That's what I don't understand.
It's almost like they're demoing content for the next Animal Crossing
which would
title.
Be fine, but they could have just made it an expansion to the game that was already there.
I would have bought it,
They
too.
made so many improvements to that game. Like, just putting things in your home, they made so many improvements. Like, you have a wall of items. You can just slip through the cracks of it to walk through, pick up stuff, and move it on the bottom screen instead of sliding it everywhere. Wouldn't that have been great in a game where it would matter?
Oh my gosh,
the way
that would-
designing houses works in New Leaf, because it's too frustrating.
It
takes
hasn't
too long.
changed. It's
Happy Home
been the
Designer.
same since.
Those
Yeah.
functions would have been of great value to me specifically. I would have probably been playing a lot more Animal Crossing.
Looking for a new use for your freaking second touch screen? You could.
And that could have even gone over to the Wii U game.
Yeah.
What Wii U game? It'll never happen.
Like, what kind of short-sighted bullshit is this? I am.
Nintendo's business practices are something that I've usually been pretty proud of, because I never felt like I was being cheated. But now, I've completely 180'd on my thoughts about that.
Yeah, I've questioned some of their recent decisions very hard.
I was really happy. You know, they kind of essentially screwed me over with my 3DS and cut the price tremendously. But then I got 20 free games out of it, so I wasn't too upset.
Right. That's fair.
And now with Amiibo, it feels like we're getting shorted on some things and being forced to buy plastic figures for them. Sure, the figures are cool, but I don't want to have to buy them for everything.
Right. I mean, you want them, like, in addition to things that you can actually play!
Now let's take a second, then, to talk about Fire Emblem Fates.
Oh, God.
I'm 100%
I don't want to talk
against that
about Fire
business
Emblem
model.
Fates.
The guys, they're full games. Yeah, but they're... Oh, my God. You could have put them into one game.
I would have understood 2 storylines being in one game.
Yeah, or
that third one is just DLC. I would understand that.
You know how, like, sometimes good and bad choices in games, like the Mass Effect games, are like, look, in this one single game, I can make good choices and I can make bad choices. So they're like, oh, look, you can follow either path. And how do you follow either path? Well, which one do you want to do? Do you want to follow the good path or the bad path? I don't know. Well, maybe I'll decide in game. No, you have to buy one of the games. And it's one thing to do like Pokemon like that, you know, the Pokemon X and Y. It's because they're essentially the same game with minor differences and minor availability. And then you just trade with your friends and you can get them anyway. This is something entirely different. And if you want considering there's actually a third game, technically, you know, it's all like, oh, these are all full games, but there's 3 games. You can buy them all if you buy the special edition for $70, which honestly isn't that bad. I think that'd be the only way I would actually buy the game. It's like,
I think it was $80 actually.
Right.
I think it's $80.
Right. But for how much content you're getting, that's essentially 3 games that are supposed to be unique enough. But if you were to buy them all separately, you know, that's going to run you up a bit. And at least you get extra content with the ultimate limited edition, whatever you want to call it. Not just all 3 games.
See, when they announced it, I thought it was going to be one game where you made choices. That was like a big deal.
I think that's
what
what
But then I found out
that's what
it's one choice.
Thought. If nobody didn't think that, then they obviously don't know how games are supposed to work.
Well, I feel like that's why it kind of burns so bad, is because they played it up to be that kind of game where you make decisions.
Right.
But instead, the decision is whether you want to get Conquest or Birthright.
Right. Yeah, no.
The only decision is how much money you want to spend.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, not like Awakening, which was, like, essentially a rebirth for the series. Like, they almost canceled the series until Awakening did so well.
Well, the thing about Awakening is that not only did it sell really well, but the DLC sold really, really well.
Right. But still, like, the amount of copies of the base game was, like, significantly more than any of the other games in the series. Like, the best...
Especially here in the West.
Right. The best-selling game in the series prior to that was the Game Boy Advanced title. Just titled Fire Emblem, you know? And that was the first one.
That was ported.
Yeah, first one that was ported. I remember playing the crap out of that game. One of my best friends had it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this game is so good. So even going back to it, it's like nostalgia times 20 at least. You know, it's so good. Let's just wait.
Heartbreak.
Guys, can we just take a moment of silence for Fire Emblem? Okay, thank you. Go on.
And then the main theme starts slowly building up.
Slowly building up. Just put that in right now.
I'm gonna do that. Oh no, but then we'll get flagged. Less than 30 seconds.
Okay, just tune it to G major and only play 5 seconds of it, and we'll get flagged.
Also, we
Yeah.
have to flip the footage. That is completely unrelated.
Flip the footage.
Okay.
So we're all pretty burnt out in terms of, pricing and business models. Something that bothers me in general is just game content and DLC. Like, you look at Call of Duty that just came out, and that launched with a $60 season pass.
$60, that's a second game.
That is twice the price of the game.
Second game?
Basically, yeah.
I better be getting Black Ops 4. That must be the DLC. Black Ops 4, or it's not worth it. And it has to be an entirely new game. On the PS...
The same thing
on the
with,
PlayStation 5.
It's the same thing with Battlefront right now. That's also $60, I believe.
I heard somewhere that it's $50. Not much better, though. I think given the amount of content that's also in Battlefront currently, it stings even more that they're making you pay another $50 to actually even flesh out the game.
Man.
That game is light on content.
Yeah.
So is
insane.
Splatoon.
But at least, okay, here's the thing about Splatoon. I feel like I understand why they did Splatoon the way they did. One, okay, they were able to finish the engine, they were able to finish all of the mechanics and polish a decent amount of the the sets. And it was such a new idea that people just wanted their hands on it. And so what they were able to do is they were like, okay, if we release it, now it's going to be light on content. But to make up for that, more content is coming, but it's all going to be free. So almost like it was an early access game, except the early access only lasted for a few months. They were like, guys, we'll just release the rest of the content once it's finished. So they had
the game
few
now
stages.
has more than double the content that it launched with.
That game has so much content now, especially relative to like where it was. Like it went from having 4 stages at the
I
beginning.
think it was 5.
Yeah, but like not a lot. And then I think there's at least 12 now, and they're adding on like 2 more. And then I think I counted the amount of like unique weapon sets, and there's like well over 60. Including all these, variations, but there's still there's tons of choices.
Well, and they just did a big gear update too, didn't they?
Yeah. So in that way, like I don't feel cheated by Splatoon. Because they understand, they're like, this content, we would have loved to launch with this content. But I think twofold, they were able to like, okay, let's not overload them with content right away. This way, it gives them time to focus on the actual function of the game, on the actual mechanics. And then they were able to add variety to that. And then people were able to kind of easily embrace that variety. But then, again, going back to the fact that, like, I guarantee that content just wasn't ready as well. And so they're like, this is content that should have been in there in the beginning, ideally, but we couldn't have had it ready, so we're just going to give it to you. We're not going to ask you to pay for it. So I feel like if Battlefront had done something similar, they're like, yeah, there's not enough content. So we are going to give you free content until we feel like it's a full game, and then build stuff afterwards, But
I think Josiah has a burning thought right now.
oh yeah? Go for it.
The thing about most of the early Splatoon DLC is that it was all finished. Every single bit of it until that update where you had to download something. All of it was on that disc.
Well, at what point, like, how much was that?
That was... it was the several game modes, I think 10 maps, and a bunch of weapons. I don't remember how many weapons.
Most of those maps were actually stages in the single player.
Okay.
Yeah. It was all finished and on disc. The reason they made it roll out so slowly was to keep Splatoon relevant. They kind of wanted it to be a streaming game, to be honest.
Right.
So they kept putting out new content to keep a crowd, because it's a multiplayer game,
Right.
and if you don't have a crowd, you don't have anything.
Right.
So that's the main reason why everything took so long.
Well, it's huge in Japan, so, I mean, they're not going to run into that problem.
Right. But then it also stands to say that they had that content. It's not like, hey, day one DLC, on disc DLC, and we're going to make you pay for it. Because they still gave it away, you know?
Yeah, it's still fantastic. Like, the way that they handle DLC in Splatoon is amazing. And should be the ideal way that you do it, but I understand selling your DLC, I guess.
In some games, I think it warrants a purchase. Like, I'll give Super Smash Brothers as an example. Those characters take a lot of work.
Right.
And, like, you compare it to other games, and you're still getting really good prices.
Right. And then also, you look at the amount of content and variety that was already present in the game right from the get-go. So when you bought the disc, you were like, this is worth $60, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't feel cheated.
And then you got more, and you had to pay for it. But I think that the prices were reasonable, and the amount of time it took for those to come out was enough that you could justify spending more money on it.
And it's a little bit nicer, too, because if you say you want all the content that comes out, you get it at a discounted rate, because you can buy it in a pack. Or you can spend a little bit more on just one or two things.
Yeah, I think a season pass, honestly, like, I don't know how I feel all about season passes, but I feel like a season pass would have been a good idea for Smash.
Well, Sakurai wasn't completely certain that he wanted to do DLC.
Right.
Like, he went out and said that Mewtwo would have been the only character, but then he changed his mind. And, you know, he lies about a lot of things, but I'm pretty sure he was being honest about that.
Yeah, and weren't they even saying that, like, it was initially supposed to be like Mewtwo only comes with people who have both versions of the game?
That was originally going to be the way it rolled out. But then Sakurai felt like he was cheating the rest of the fan base.
Right. And it would
like a good soul.
Yeah, it would have divided the fan base. Like, that kind of exclusivity for a playable character in a game, like, that just seems absurd.
And it was a character that was very much wanted by the entire, you know, user base.
Yeah,
it was a
no
character
kidding.
that missed a whole game, and people were crying for him to come back.
Do you guys remember when they revealed, what was it? Shoot, what character was it?
Lucas?
Greninja.
You too.
Greninja.
Oh, Greninja, such a bait and switch.
I know. It's like, oh, it's Mewtwo. It's totally Mewtwo. Water? Wait. We were still like, oh, that's cool.
That's cool. That's
was
not
cool.
Mewtwo, but that's cool.
But
Well,
we
and they threw
finally-
Charizard in the trailer, which is nice.
Right.
Yeah.
As a standalone character, not as the Pokemon trainer. I did not like Pokemon Trainer.
I was really hoping that when Cloud was announced that they were going to throw in a veteran in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like Snake.
Like
Snake.
I
Snake.
don't know, I have a gut feeling like Snake's going to come back.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's happening.
Okay, if you had to guess, because we're getting one more big announcement for Smash. It's been
At least.
over a year since the 3DS version launched. I literally, like, yesterday, like, Facebook memories, it was like, oh, we're at the launch for Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, and we're getting all these cool belts and stuff
Logan.
that we're putting on her.
Hey, Logan.
What?
Yesterday was the year anniversary of the Wii U edition as well.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
November
there you go.
21st is Nintendo's big hitter day.
Oh.
Is it?
Yep.
What are we getting this November 21st?
We got nothing.
About that.
But almost 2 weeks ago we got Fallout 4.
Oh, did you get that on Wii U?
Play on Wii U or currently on anything because I don't have a console or a PC that can actually play it. I'm upset. Anyway.
There are some people that would argue that the Wii U is only as powerful as a Vita.
Oh, wait, no.
Who's that? Who's that person?
It's Tyrone from Nicholas, who's trying to
Hey,
port
that's wrong.
The Binding of Isaac
Guess what?
Afterbirth.
That's objectively wrong.
He says it's not running, and then he snaps back and says it's at least as powerful as a Vita.
Oh.
He's objectively wrong. It's difficult to develop for, that's for sure. But it's a lot more powerful than a Vita. A Vita is about as powerful as an iPhone right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and buy a Vita so I can buy Binding of Isaac on it, guys. Here I go.
Good, you can't get the DLC either. It's not coming out on that.
Guys, it doesn't matter. I need a Vita. That's my favorite.
I think the Vita.
I went out to buy a Vita today.
Why did you buy your Vita? Because I can connect it to my PS4. Wait, did you buy it for any of the games? What games?
So you essentially bought a gamepad, and then you went and said that the Wii U was stupid for the gamepad, but then you went and bought one yourself.
I don't know anybody who actually bought it for that reason. It's like it's convenient if you have one, you know? Oh man, I gotta take a huge dump, but I still want to play Fallout 4.
So this is my thought. Like with the NX, I feel like it should have kind of gamepad functionality, but don't market the console based on that.
Oh, no.
When I go to the next system, if it's got gamepad support, I'm still going to use my gamepad because I love it.
Right.
But if you market it that way, we're just going to run into that same situation again.
Yeah, and they really need a more traditional gamepad that's really going to compete with other gamepads. You know what I mean? Like,
If they updated the Wii U Pro controller, we could kind of achieve that.
Yeah. I don't really care for the Wii U Pro. I mean, for some games it's really nice. Like, that is my preferred controller for Mario Kart 8. Definitely feels good for that game. But
it has garbage triggers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I hope they improve.
Is having actual analog triggers like, I don't know, the GameCube even had?
And it actually utilized to a pretty great degree.
Yeah.
Like Super Mario Sunshine took that into account.
And
Luigi's Mansion, which was a launch title.
What are your favorite triggers for a controller?
Oh man, that's...
Like if you had to choose one controller that just feels the best with the triggers, what would that be?
I love the triggers on the Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah?
I really like the PS4 triggers.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely leaning towards PS4. I really like the PS4 triggers. Also, I think the Xbox One controller is a significant improvement. And they didn't really add a lot to it compared to the Xbox 360.
They made it lighter.
They made it lighter.
Much lighter.
I think it feels better. It feels just smoother all around. It's just a general, we need to improve everything about it. Not really add much to it, but just improve it. And that's okay. It works.
And even if it's not the best triggers, we still have to appreciate the GameCube's triggers for just the visceral feel you get when you click that in.
Yeah, the click is a really nice touch on the GameCube controllers. Just the way the GameCube controller feels in your hand is the most beautiful thing ever.
For me, it's still probably the most comfortable controller I've ever held.
Yeah, that was just a great controller. Now, if it didn't look like a toy, the GameCube that is, who knows where that would have gone. Hey guys, look, it's got a handle on the back. I can carry it to my friend's house with its handle.
And that console had the strongest hardware of that generation, too.
Yeah. No,
the Xbox did.
The Xbox did, yeah, definitely. But it was more powerful than the PS2. And so, you look at, different ports that were on both consoles, and they looked better on the GameCube. The only thing I think that was worse comparatively was the fact that the GameCube used mini discs, and so it had less storage space. And so I think even compared to the Dreamcast, like there was a game, Skies of Arcadia. That was one of the best games on the Dreamcast. And then it even had DLC. Dreamcast was so ahead of its time. And they took that game and they took all the DLC and they were going to port it to the PS2 and GameCube. PS2 port got canceled, got ported to the GameCube as Skies of Arcadia Legends. I have it. God, that game is a beautiful RPG. It's so good. It's just... Anyway. And the only thing worse about it was it had a lower resolution soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah. That's the only thing that was less big.
They couldn't shove it on the
They couldn't
disc.
put it on the disc.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah, like if you look at things that originated on the GameCube and then were ported to something else later, like for instance, Resident Evil 4 was on the GameCube initially and then
Yeah.
ported to PS2. That thing runs like garbage on the PS2. Same thing with Killer 7.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah,
Well,
you look
the
at
game
like...
also looks significantly better on the GameCube.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting to a point where, like, I feel the differences in graphical qualities are diminishing between consoles, just because it's like even everything's just more powerful. And so I don't know if it's just like a sense of like, oh, we made it for this, and then we're going to try to match that quality and not really capitalize on the more powerful places. Kind of like Fallout 4 on PC. People are like, oh, this could look so much better. And so the modding community is going to come in and they're just going to make that game blow up.
Well, this particular generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One did not have too significant hardware changes. It wasn't as big of a jump as the previous generation was.
Right. Relatively.
Yeah. They kept the costs down after, the responses they got before,
Right.
which I think was a smart idea. But, I feel like at this point we're going to see more advancements in game engines than we are going to see in just graphical fidelity.
I want to hear Josiah's opinion on this.
I don't have that much of an opinion.
Really?
Like at some point, graphics are just gonna. You're gonna hit a point where it looks as real as it can get within reason,
Right.
and then everyone's just going to try to do stylistic stuff.
Right. Which I think is the biggest thing. I think people should go for more stylistic things anyway. Play to your limitations. And I think that goes true for game design as well.
Well,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it's a lot easier to go for a stylistic approach than it is to go for a realistic approach. It requires less people, and honestly, it's more interesting to me.
Games age better too.
Yeah.
Look at Kami on the PS2. That game looks gorgeous today.
Half-Life.
Wind Waker, still amazing.
Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2 is all right. Yeah,
For
it looks
its
fine.
age, it is aged pretty well. It's not like... What games haven't aged well?
Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess.
Oh, man.
That game was almost outdated when it launched.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
It looked bad for when it launched. That's how I feel about Twilight Princess.
Which is so sad because it looked good when it was originally announced.
It looked good 6 years before it released, yeah.
Yeah, I think
It was 2003. Come on.
the style for Skyward Sword was much more appropriate.
I really like Skyward Sword's visuals. Just not on a big TV.
Yeah. It's easier to get away with things the simpler the textures are. Ultimately, like you look at Mario games. Look at Super Mario 3D World.
That game is gorgeous.
Right, but it's not overly complex. It's cartoony textures and they tend to be a little bit more simple but it plays to that style. Nobody complains that, it's not like super realistic.
All we really needed was some nice lighting
Right.
and some better models.
Some really good shaders.
Yep.
Mario
Some
Kart
really,
8.
really good shaders.
God,
I think Mario Kart 8 is gorgeous.
Yeah, that game looks
Yeah.
good.
It's all that Fresnel.
What?
You know what Fresnel is, you know.
No.
It's the shininess on the edges. You know how you see shininess on the edge of everything?
Yeah.
That's Fresnel. It's like a specular map type thing.
Okay.
It makes things look lit when they aren't actually lit with it.
Right. Everything's shiny.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
And you compare Mario Kart 8 to Mario Kart Wii, and it looks like it was a couple generations of difference. Which
Yeah,
it really was.
you really
Let's
do.
be serious. Wii was basically a GameCube. In my opinion.
Yeah.
It also, in some cases, was literally a GameCube.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
Video games.
if I had to rate Nintendo currently in the past year, 2 years, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give them a rating of like a strong 5 to a light 6.
Well, you look at their Metacritic scores.
Yeah.
They're the worst they've ever been. I think it was 10 years.
Okay.
It's a large margin.
I've decided I don't give a shit about Metacritic. Fuck Metacritic. Metacritic has no say. Metacritic doesn't even provide original content. They're literally just like, okay, so there's a bunch of other sites that like to give scores to all these games and movies, and we're gonna put them all into one. And then sometimes the games, like, they have to have like a minimum of 4 reviews, but then you find like other reviews online that they don't even include, and and executed super well. So
Games have over a 90 right now. Let me
Ocarina
check.
of Time.
Ocarina of Time is like the highest rated on Metacritic. Last of
Wind
Us has
Waker
a
was,
9.
wasn't it?
Let me see.
Wind Waker has a really high. I think Wind Waker has like a 96.
And the most recent title in PC games that has over a 90 is Undertale,
Yeah.
the 94.
Yeah, and that's just because it's so
That's because it's fucking amazing.
right. I really like Undertale. I played a little bit of it. It's got a lot of humor. It's really great. But like The Last of Us got a 95, which obviously I
Yeah.
think that deserves it. But
Yeah,
does
it's
that
warranted there.
necessarily make it better than a game that has a 94 or a 93 or even an 87? You know? It's just so subjective that trying to put this arbitrary number on it is just, in the end, it's really useless because people will disagree. And will have really good reasons for disagreeing as well, you know? Some person may give this game a 7 and this other game a 10, and this other person will give both those games the opposite score, you know? But they have their different preferences. There's always going to be bias when rating these things.
Yeah, you can't avoid that.
So ultimately, you should ignore that 40 on Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and you should just go buy it.
You okay, guys? Why'd you get all silent?
It just went quiet.
You should just go buy Animal Crossing.
Guys, ignore everything. Ignore all opinions and just spend your money.
Everything's subjective, so everything's a 100% in someone's eyes. Even Animal Crossing Amiibo.
I mean,
Festival.
according to the reviews, user reviews, oh my god, guys, I would rather spend my money on this than anything else because it's so good. There's so much to do, like roll dice.
Even like an example for me, Monster Hunter gets a lot of low scores because of how hard it is to get into.
Yeah, that's not a good reason to give something a low score.
Completely subjective.
That's the podcast. Completely subjective. That's the new name.
Subjectiveness. God, it's so beautiful, though.
So, as we're kind of reaching the end here, are there any comments, any thoughts, anything you just want to get off your chest?
I think Brandon Miracle should watch Ichijo.
I think everybody should learn to think for themselves and even consider not saying things that they want to say on the internet. Maybe sometimes, maybe 1 in 10 times that you feel like you should say something, you should just not. For the sake of not saying it because it probably doesn't need to be said. End rant.
There you heard
Fair
it
enough.
from the guy ranting. Don't rant on the internet.
This is my platform. I'm allowed to do this.
Platform is the ground.
All things
They're not supposed to
considered,
know you're
I
on the
think
ground.
we can kind of wrap this up with a single sentence. Buy more Amiibo.
I am
You
more
heard it
Amiibo.
here, folks. This has been Total Immersion Podcast with Brandon Miracle. You're supposed to say how,
You're supposed to say fucking anything.
like, hey, okay. This has been the Total Immersion Podcast with
You guys have a good one.